My Pixar marathon continues with 2009's Up. Pete Docter returns to helm with the second of three films I've been wanting to address for ages, so let's open it up. The film opens on newsreel depicting the exploits of Charles Muntz, voiced by the late great Christopher Plummer, and his adventures in Paradise Falls, South America. The wondrous life of a young Carl Fredricksen. Charles has found a rare bird on his travels, but when researchers doubt his findings, he goes back to the falls to capture the beast alive. Later that day, Charles comes across a young lady named Ellie, and even though they don't speak much, more on that in a moment, their bond grows, eventually marrying and deciding to go to Paradise Falls themselves one day. This leads to the film's married life sequence, which is a masterful use of nonverbal storytelling, conveying their entire marriage in the opening minutes of the film through just the animation and Michael Giacchino's score. We see them working towards their dream, bigotry and literally building a home together. There's also the heartbreaking reveal they can't have children. When Suits originally wanted that cut, the filmmakers successfully convinced them to keep it in. Their bond grows through the years until Ellie passes on, leaving Carl alone. We rejoin Carl in the film's present, now voiced by the late great Ed Asner. Just love his morning routine, how something simple as going to get his mail and sit outside the porch has such energy towards it. Even after the city around him has been developed, Carl is unwilling to sell his house at any price, as a foreman Tom, voiced by John Ratzenberger, tries and fails to convince him. Carl later meets a young man named Russell, voiced by Jordan Nagai, who is part of the Warden's Explorers. He's after the badge of assisting the elderly, which Carl signs him by finding a snipe. More on that later as we have our inciting incident, an altercation with a construction worker which nearly sends Carl to a rest home. Instead, he decides to keep his promise to Ellie, taking his house to sky on thousands of balloons to visit Paradise Falls. There's quite the impressive visual after all this time. It was kind of like the lots of hugging bear in a window he flies by. More on that next time. However, Carl has a guest along for the trip, with Russell joining him after he hit another house. Narrowly eluding a storm Wizard of Oz style, this house does make it to South America. It would have been neat to see this in 3D or IMAX, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, they have 3 days worth of helium to get to Paradise Falls, which provides a ticking clock for their journey. Elsewhere, a group of dogs is after a rare bird. They are Gamma, voiced by Jerome Ramft, Beta, voiced by Dario Lindo, and their Alpha, voiced by Bob Peterson. Alpha may be the leader, but his collar was damaged, and just translated voice sounded like a chipmunk. After taking a pit stop, Russell has found the snipe, which is a massive bird covered in colorful feathers. Russell starts calling the bird Kevin, and we'll come back to that. I do really like how Kevin tries to eat Carl's cane, which becomes a minor running gag in the film. As Alpha, Beta, and Gamma have picked up Carl and Russell's scent, Carl and Russell continue their trip to the falls, and meet another dog who sniffs them out. His name is Doug, which is Bob Peterson. He's even made my favorite characters in the film. I just met you, and I love you, squirrel. Carl, Russell, and Doug and Kevin make camp for the night, where Russell reveals his parents broke up and his father has seen someone else. This spawn is easily a key part of the story as a two sides of the same coin. Russell is a child Carl never had, and Carl's father figure Russell has always needed. And the next day, everyone continues towards Paradise Falls, and discover that Kevin is a girl. I just love Russell's expression when he finds out. They're led to the spirit of adventure, the vessel of Charles Muntz. Carl's ecstatic to meet his childhood hero. Try to worry too much about how they age. I do really like Doug's sad reaction to wearing the cone of shame. Charles shows Carl and Russell his gallery, which contains many treasures he found on his exploits before dinner. He does reveal he's still after the bird, and after Russell lets slip they've seen Kevin, he also reveals the helmets of the other explorers that came his way. Where he knocks him over and Charles delivers his lines, reveals both the award-nominated sound design and Plummer's talents as an actor. At the 1 hour mark, Kevin is found out and they almost escape. They narrowly make it out of the airship, but Kevin injured in the process, allowing Charles to capture her again later that night. The next day, the house reaches Paradise Falls, and Carl reflects, looking at the adventure book Ellie left him, as it dawns on him that life is the adventure he was seeking all along. This reveal is even more touching given Ed Asner's passing earlier this year. As Russell flies off to rescue Kevin, Carl does a little house cleaning to follow him. Carl, Doug, and Russell reunite in the sky, and Carl, having learned sickening truths, has to confront Charles. This multi-tier final fight in and out of the airship is a key scene in the movie, and a worthy finale to an excellent film. Charles not being hoisted by his own petard, and Carl gives up his house to send Kevin back home. We close on Carl giving Russell his badge back home. The house resting atop Paradise Falls, just as he promised Ellie. The credits also show their adventures. Makes you want to check out the Dog Days series they came out with. But I better wrap this up. This is another film I have seen many times before I got a chance to review it, and each and every time I see it, I love it more. Everything from the casting, to the animation, to the music, how it makes the film another entry in Pixar's best works. It's also a big hit, making $293 million as in the US and over $735 million worldwide. It's also another film I've shared with loved ones who are no longer with me. I want to never pass up a chance to revisit. I want to thank you all for giving me a chance to share it with you. My final rating is 4 out of 4. Next time a Pixar Marathon enters the 2010s, I have my look at Toy Story 3. Adventure is out there.